So that's a new type of aquaculture and agriculture that's beginning to emerge, and one that we're really excited about. So this is where I ended last time. So we'll continue to move ahead, and we're going to focus more on temperature now as we move forward. And here's an example of what can happen when temperature changes in a certain place in the world. And this happens to be focused on the Netherlands, and Denmark and the Netherlands specifically. You could draw a similar sort of comparison to anywhere in the world, but I actually had this one, and just it works. And so now you could take wherever you're at in the world and put it into that context. So when you have a Danish lake that's in balance, so it's naturally a balanced ecology, it's not been degraded, you're going to have an abundance of salmonids, that's the kind of fish, that's a trout, a salmon, that are a native fish, and they're going to be the largest biomass in the system. They're going to be preying on eating smaller fish that are the food fish for those, and they'll be in a relatively balanced manner. They're going to be feeding on small aquatic animals, zooplankton. We talked about those before as we were doing our taxonomy, and they're going to be in a really large abundance, be really obvious when you look at a microscope sample of water from a balanced Danish lake. And then the next two layers, the algae and the nutrients, which is the little arrow at the bottom, are going to be relatively low. So these are going to be oligotrophic, which is the description, we'll talk about that more today, systems. And that's what would be natural and balanced. So now, if you were to move towards a more elevated temperature or some sort of pollution, today we're going to focus on temperature though. And if it got elevated in temperature, that same lake would begin to look more like this. You'd have a much lesser number of the highest level, trophic level, as we call it, of the fish-eating fish, which would be salmonids mainly. You'd have a huge number, a lot bigger number of the prey fish, because they wouldn't have anything to predate on them. They can live actually off of smaller and a lower number of zooplankton. Water flea is actually just a specific kind, which we oftentimes call Daphnia, which is actually the scientific name. There'd be a higher level of algae and a higher level of nutrients. But still, you probably wouldn't notice a whole lot of visual difference in that lake or that pond or that water body. But it would still be degraded. And the biggest difference you'd see would be the fish population.